is Lewis Hamilton really looking down on Verstappen? Is it jealousy? Because the statement suggests so. I mean, Hamilton has failed to win a single race since 2021, whereas Verstappen's success has been unprecedented. And just as recently, Hamilton said he had tougher teammates. Well, we can't say much until we do some digging, so let's find out the truth. Lewis Hamilton's teammates. While it's hard to rank different drivers in different cars and different eras, the easiest way to do it is to sort them up. So let's have a look at the men Hamilton has shared the garage with. Fernando Alonso, McLaren 2007. So folks, let's get to the point. Back in 07, Hamilton had the most scintillating season of his career. Two-time world champion, Fernando Alonso may have thought that he was in for an easy ride when McLaren partnered him with Hamilton, but the Spaniard soon realized his mistake. Haha! The pair went toe-to-toe throughout the season to such an extent that they ended level on points while Kimi Raikkonen won the title. Jeez! Well, Alonso's 2 world championships are enough to justify how good he was. It is indeed hard to argue any of Hamilton's teammates surpassed the Spaniard except for the next man on our list, Jenson Button, McLaren 2010 to 2012. Very much the driver's driver, he deserves all the praise and appreciation. He arrived at McLaren as a freshly minted world champion and gave Hamilton a good run for his money. Like Hamilton tended to do in that era, he clashed at times with Button. Hamilton was also Button's teammate for one of his greatest triumphs, Canada 2011. It highlighted Button's sheer class, a master in the wet, but crucially a man who was a better judge of the conditions to ensure he was on the right tyre at the right moment. But if we speak of the easiest teammate that Hamilton had, it's the next guy on our list. Heikki Kovalainen, McLaren 2008 to 2009. There was only this one time back in 2008 when Hamilton linked up with Finnish driver Heikki Kovalainen, who moved to McLaren just after 1 season. Kovalainen was new, hence it was no surprise to see Hamilton beat him on his way to the first of 7 world titles. After 2 seasons together, Hamilton had outclassed Kovalainen on 25 occasions and finished ahead of him in 23 races. Jeez, it was a child's play, unlike our next one. Valtteri Bottas, Mercedes 2017 to 2021. The Finnish national was Hamilton's longest-serving teammate. After the 2016 season, Mercedes and Hamilton needed someone exactly like Bottas. He was the ultimate teammate, a guy often willing to sacrifice his own race if it meant helping Hamilton, and it was only later on in his career when he began to compete and strive to get to the next level. I mean, no hard feelings, but he did the right thing. And honestly, Bottas was more than just Hamilton's wingman, he was exactly what Mercedes needed. He appeared in Q3 in 103 consecutive weekends, and it was this consistency that Mercedes used to build a dynasty. And next comes Hamilton's current teammate, George Russell, Mercedes 2022 to present. Having raced for just 1.5 seasons together, the signs of this partnership are good enough. In 2022, it was Russell who managed to draw the most performance out of the misfiring W13. As of now, Hamilton has reclaimed superiority this season, but George hasn't been too far behind. He surely has some feathers in his cap. His first pole and first win have both come since he made the permanent switch over to Mercedes, and fans have been crazy over the fact that Russell has the potential to provide some much-needed competition to Hamilton, but only time will tell if he follows the Bottas route or the Nico Rosberg path. Speaking of Rosberg, Nico Rosberg, Mercedes 2013 to 2016. This bloke was something. He and Hamilton had raced together in go-karts and were put in the same Mercedes team when Hamilton moved across in 2013. But for a good while, it seemed as if he was always going to be in Hamilton's shadow, and the 2 back-to-back title wins established Hamilton's supremacy. But then came the rise of Rosberg. He achieved what he had always dreamed of. The world title was finally his. He clashed with Hamilton to such an extent that Wolff considered firing the pair of them. Damn! And it ended with Rosberg's retirement. Well, this was all about Lewis. Let's move to Max Verstappen. Pierre Gasly, Red Bull 2019. Since moving on from Red Bulls, the tides have turned for Gasly. He moved up from Toro Rosso in 2019 but lasted just 12 races before being demoted back down. In hindsight, his results were not that bad, with points scores in all but 3 races. It was only that Verstappen had set a new bar and Red Bull wanted someone else to match it. And the final nail in Gasly's coffin was the crash with Alex Albon at the German Grand Prix. 2 races later, he was replaced by Alex Albon. Alex Albon, Red Bull 2019 to 2020. Even for him, the Red Bull seat was too much to handle. A spin from Hamilton in Sao Paulo cost him his first podium, and more contact in Austria the following year prevented what looked like a real shot at victory. But after losing to Mercedes back-to-back, Red Bull needed everyone to fire on all cylinders to stand a chance, and when young Albon struggled to meet that standard, Christian Horner and Helmut Marko were given the chance. Sergio Perez, Red Bull 2021 to present. Like Gasly, Perez is a confident driver, and a run of 5 non-appearances in Q3 affected his mentality. But what apparently looks like a challenge to Verstappen from the outside, the Mexican provides everything Red Bull wants in a second driver. In 2021, he repeatedly put his own race in jeopardy to help Verstappen. I think there's nothing more to say. Daniel Ricciardo, Red Bull 2016 to 2018. This man has been the best match for Verstappen over the years. Known for his characteristic late braking, Ricciardo was fun to watch. His partnership with Verstappen extended beyond the track, with the two being good friends, but Ricciardo sensed a power struggle that was impending and hence soon left for Renault. Honestly, it would have been interesting to see what would have become of Ricciardo if he stayed at Red Bull, but never mind. Both McLaren and Mercedes were happy to pair Hamilton with some of the sport's finest drivers, having him drive with 3 world champions. Hamilton was the first to graduate through the McLaren driver program, George Russell was Mercedes' first, whereas Albon, Gasly, Verstappen, Ricciardo and Vettel were all part of Red Bull's junior team. So to judge Hamilton's statement on merit, you would have to say that he is correct. His teammates have been objectively better, and he has had 2 seasons where the team has come close to collapsing due to that rivalry. Meanwhile, you may struggle more to find a teammate who has a bad word to say about Verstappen. It is, of course, a point of pride for Hamilton that he beat the likes of Alonso, Rosberg and Button, but if you offered him a so-called easier teammate, no doubt he would gladly accept. Well, this is it for today's video. Don't forget to leave your feedback in the comments below and hit that subscribe button. Until next time,